So jumping right in, the differences between narcissistic personality disorder, specifically covert narcissistic personality disorder versus borderline personality disorder. One of the reasons I'm making this video is that I get a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, I think my ex-boyfriend or I think my ex is actually borderline. And then you find out the full story, and it turns out that in many cases, not all, but in many cases, it turns out that they're actually dealing with a covert narcissist, or at least it more lines up with that. Again, I'm not trying to pass some kind of official diagnosis. I'm just kind of giving you the road markers, the roadmap. I'm trying to give you signposts to look out for. If you have a chance to speak to a mental health professional, go talk to them. I'm not trying to put a stamp or label somebody something that I've never spoken to. It's up to you to take the principles I'm talking about and see if it applies. Use your own reasoning, use your own logic. Don't try to put a permanent label on somebody. Having said that, jumping right in, most of the time, statistically speaking, women tend to be more borderline. I'm not saying there aren't men borderline, there are. But the majority of people with borderline struggling are female. In the case of the narcissist, it's the other way around. Most people struggling with narcissistic personality disorder tend to be men instead of women. So there's one little marker to go by. And again, I want to stress this. I'm not trying to say listen to one or two little signals and then make an assumption. I'm just trying to provide information. So one of the differences, one of the similarities, and there are some things that they have in common and some things that are radically different. One of the things in common is that when you're falling in love with a covert narcissist or somebody suffering from borderline, both of them have an exceptional ability to make you feel heard, to make you feel known, to make you feel special. If you've heard about limerence is when you get the dopamine, the serotonin, and the adrenaline dumped into your bloodstream, and you feel like you're under a spell. You kind of feel like it's euphoric. It's a bit of a rush. Both of them are exceptional at creating that feeling. Both of them are exceptionally socially smooth. And I don't mean that they walk into a room and they command a room. I don't mean socially smooth that way. I mean when it comes to interpersonal relationships, they both have an exceptional ability to make you feel understood, to make you feel known. Both of them have the ability to almost read like from the journal or the diary of your heart. They can kind of see what you've always wanted to be seen in yourself. They'll say words to you that you've wanted to hear your whole life, but maybe nobody else has seen that aspect or have noticed those things about you that are so special to you. They make you feel like you're set apart, like you're on a pedestal. They make you feel valued. Both of them are capable of some of the most, and not trying to sound cheesy here, but some of the most precious, meaningful, and impactful moments of your life. Those moments that you look back on and think, I've never had a relationship as precious to me, as close to me as this one. I've never had anybody make me feel as known, as understood, as valued, as make me see that my wounds are known to them, make me feel cherished, loved, and protected. Both of them can do that. The difference is borderline is driven by a sense of lacking. It's driven by a shaken sense of self. It's actually an identity crisis. So while they're falling in love with you, their secret fear is that you're going to find out that they're not as good as they pretend to be. You're going to find out that they're not really on your level. They tend to think of you as a little bit out of their reach. They tend to think of you as a little bit too good to be true. And if you find out that they're not really quite on your level, you're going to end up ultimately rejecting them. Borderline is an identity crisis. It's actually a lack of confidence. So while they're admiring you, they see you as here. They see themselves as here. So while they're in pursuit of you, you stay idealized and they stay in love. But when something shakes you, or you accidentally let them know that you love them every bit as much as you, and you no longer seem a little bit out of their reach, then it triggers some anxiety, some second guessing, and eventually it builds up this anxiety until they need to disconnect from you to get relief from the anxiety that's starting to tell them they made a mistake. You're not as perfect as they saw you. They call it splitting. They stop idealizing you and they start magnifying your flaws. And all of a sudden this internal voice is saying, well, what if they're not the one? What if they weren't as incredible as I thought they were? As a matter of fact, I think that they were flawed. I think I made a mistake. So that lack of confidence that initially makes you seem as a little bit out of their reach and too good to be true turns. And suddenly they can't believe that they saw you as perfect. Not only are you not perfect, you're weak enough and you're unstable enough to think they're amazing. Well, deep down, they think they're broken. So if you think they're amazing, you must not be that incredible. They must have made a mistake in thinking you were out of their reach. So that anxiety grows and they'll push away. With a covert narcissist, even when they see you as a little bit out of their reach and they're giving you all the praise and making you feel precious and loved and cared for and understood, deep down underneath all that, they actually think they're just as good as you and even a little bit better because they know they're manipulating you. So they think they're a little bit smarter than you because, well, they have to be. In their mind, they're manipulating you. They're convincing you that they're somebody that they know they're not. And silly you, no matter how much they admire you, no matter how much they actually have admiration or affection for you, they do consider themselves just a little bit smarter. Sometimes a lot smarter, sometimes actually a lot better. So it's not the same. It's not like a lack of confidence in themselves. They actually think quite a bit of themselves. It looks to be a very similar thing when they break up with you. A borderline will break up with you because you accidentally convince them that you aren't too good to be with them, that you aren't a little bit out of their reach. Normally with borderline, when they break up with you, it's like they've actually caught the heart of the person that they thought before was the love of their life. They've actually captured the heart of the person that they initially thought was out of their league. And then when they catch them, it triggers this internal questioning. The anxiety spikes, the attraction drops, and they disconnect. With a narcissist, normally what's going to trigger them to make them move on to someone else is a better resource comes along. Maybe they were attracted to you because you're beautiful, but somebody a little bit more beautiful. A new challenge has come along. Maybe the challenge of you has worn itself out. At first when they saw you, they thought, oh, look, this person thinks they're out of my reach. Society thinks this person's out of my reach, but I can get this person. So they get you. Once they get you, maybe they get you quite a bit. In other words, maybe they not only get you to be attracted to them, they get you to flood them with attraction. Now you want to be with them all the time. Now you think they're amazing. They convinced you how incredible they are, and now you want to be with them all the time. Well, now you go from being somebody that they just admire and can't do enough for to you actually become an irritation. Well, now they captured you. There's no challenge. As a matter of fact, they start to see you as a little bit pathetic because you're trying to you're trying to zero in on their time. You're trying to take too much. Now you have expectation. They love bombed you in the beginning, much like a borderline. But now that you're used to that standard, they have an expectation for it. You have an expectation for them to love, cherish, honor, think you're amazing, build you up, encourage you the way they did to pull you in. But now it's getting on their nerves because they did that in order to pull you in. Now they have you. Now they want to spend time with their friends. Now they want to go out. Now they're wondering why you're trying to restrict them so much? Why are you being so clingy? They'll tend to gaslight a little bit more than borderline. Why are you acting like that? Why are you asking me why I don't treat you the way I used to? Why are you? So they use more guilt. They'll try to gaslight you and make you doubt your own judgment, make you doubt your own reasoning while they're fully aware of what they're doing. With borderline can actually engage in self-deception as well. They'll actually convince themselves they made a mistake in seeing you for the amazing person that you were, because maybe you're not that amazing. Maybe you're not the perfect person. Maybe they're making a mistake in being with you. With a narcissist, however, they know exactly what they're doing. They know they're manipulating you. They know they're getting you to second guess your own reasoning, your own judgment. And to do that, they'll kind of hold up and to do that, they'll say things like, they'll point back to the kind things they did in the beginning. Well, how can you say I'm being selfish? You remember when I did this for you? They'll bring up their personal pain and use that to justify the fact that they can't be with you. In other words, I can't believe you're even saying this about me. I can't believe that you think that I'm not making enough time for you after all I've done for you. They use a lot of guilt. They use a lot of pointing back to the good time when things were really good at the beginning to make you feel bad for even questioning who they are. They don't like having their integrity or their honesty challenged because they don't really have integrity, because they don't really have any honesty. So they can make you doubt yourself more than they want you to examine who they are. Both of them can leave you, but a narcissistic personality disorder, the covert type, will tend to leave you quicker. Sometimes they'll leave you without any warning. And then they'll come up with reasons that make it really hard for you to argue. They'll say things like, well, you just deserve to be with somebody who feels about you the way you feel about me. And for a while, I thought I could. And they'll really pull something out that hurts you quite a bit. They usually say something like, I've been feeling this way for a while, but I didn't want to hurt you. But ultimately, I ended up deciding you deserve the truth. And the truth is, I'm not as attracted to you as I thought I was. What do you mean? You're not as attracted to me as you thought you were. We had sex this morning. I know, but I've really been trying to fight this. And I know maybe we just went away for a weekend, but I've really been trying to fight this. And the truth is, I'm just not as attracted to you as I should be. They might even pull something out and say, and you know, I think maybe you need to focus on something else. I think I'm too important to you. And you deserve somebody that feels about you the way you feel about me. And I don't feel that way about you. So they really like to present it as being noble, honest, that they have integrity. But the truth is they really just want to get you out of their life in a way that you can't argue with. Ultimately, a lot of times they'll point back to that pain that they told you about in the beginning. Now, the borderline doesn't like to really get into the pain too much if it's going to be used as evidence that they're broken. They'll use their pain, a borderline will use their pain to kind of let you know what they've been through so that you know why they're not going to put up with you. A lot of times a narcissist will say something like, listen, you know everything I've been through. I'm deep, complicated, and confused, and you deserve to be with somebody who knows how they feel. I don't really know how I feel. I can't really be there for you. They might leave without giving you much of an idea that it's happening. A lot of times a covert narcissist likes to leave in ways that really catches you completely off guard. So you have these open wounds. And if you push them, they'll say, well, I just had to be honest with myself, because they really, again, they care about claiming to have a lot of integrity and a lot of character. And they just, at the end, they just had to tell you the truth because you deserve hearing the truth, even though the truth won't make a lot of sense. They'll disappear. And a lot of times they can disappear without any kind of word. They don't need to stay in contact with you. Now, sometimes they will. And a covert narcissist especially will tend to say this. I know this breakup is really hard and you didn't see it coming. So if you need to reach out to me while you're getting used to the idea that we're not together anymore, I want to be here for you. In other words, they'll offer to be here for you to get over the fact that they hurt you. A covert narcissist likes to do that more than anyone. A borderline, initially, they'll break up with you and they just want time and space, especially at the very beginning. They kind of want to get away from you because the anxiety of being with you has started to grow. Now, they might question it initially and just kind of reach out and keep tabs on you because you've kind of triggered their fear of loss, but they won't necessarily say something like, hey, if this is hard on you, you can call me tomorrow, because they know they're going to be second guessing it. So it can look really similar. Another difference, a covert narcissist will tend to be more unfaithful and have more overlap with the new relationship they've started before they get rid of you. They like to know they have somebody else to go to, so they're more of a monkey brancher. Borderline will do it too, but they won't do it as consistently. They won't do it as often, and they won't do it without the total lack of remorse. One of the key differences is that a borderline actually wrestles with a sense of value. They wrestle with a sense of identity. Deep down, they don't believe they're worth much. They believe they're broken. A narcissist believes they're entitled. A narcissist knows that they're as good as you. They actually think that they're a little bit better than you. Even when they authentically admire you, they know they're more intelligent than you. They're kind of convinced of it because, again, they're smart enough to be able to manipulate you, and they'll come back when you're the most valuable resource available. So they have a hard time letting you go unless they have something better that's already waiting. Or it can be an opportunity. It can be the fact that if they stay with you, then they don't have access to more women, because getting closer and closer to you has made it so that they're more limited. If they're living with you, it's harder to cheat on you. And after a while, they get tired of having to come up with inventive ways to cheat on you. They don't want to be seen for what they are, so they'll come up with reasons to create time and space so they have more opportunity to do and to be with whoever they want without having to lose you. Also, the borderline is kind of subtle, but you'll know the difference. Borderline will tend to just really idealize you and see you as the perfect person. And then when they realize you're actually flawed, or life has shaken you, or that you flood them with too much validation and let them know that you love them every bit as much as they loved you, then that can be the trigger to make them pull back. With a narcissist, the trigger event is usually you're either making it impossible for them to have the access to other women or to other things or other opportunities. You're costing them something. It's more resource-based. A narcissist is looking out for himself and things that get them further ahead in life. The borderline at the core is actually looking for an authentic, meaningful relationship. Now, it's that relationship that gives them a stronger sense of identity, a stronger sense of worth, and it plays a part in that idealized thinking of what their life should be. So it's similar, but it's not the same thing. In other words, a narcissist is more relationship and internal anxiety based in their decision and their motivation. A narcissist is more resource based. What does this person give me? What's the kind of money? What's the kind of situation? What's the kind of networking? What's the opportunity? So it looks very similar. If you want to get them both back with a borderline or with a narcissist personality, a covert narcissist personality, the key is you still have to project the strength and the willingness to move on without them. And the good news is you don't have to know which one you're dealing with. The truth is the best way to draw back a covert narcissist or a borderline is to project the strength to live without them. If it's borderline and you can project the strength and the confidence to live without them, even though both of these types of relationships are extremely painful, extremely addictive, and very, very difficult to get over. I think they're the two most painful relationships to get over. But if you can project the strength and the resilience to get away, the person suffering from covert narcissism, it's a blow to their ego. They don't like to think that the person that they've, in essence, won, or the person that they've actually caught, they like to know they can put that person on the shelf. They like to know that they can keep you waiting on the porch while they entertain other people. They don't like the fact that you might be strong enough to move on without them, so they want to come get you and pull you back. With borderline, it looks similar, but it's different. The motivation is different. When you project the strength and prove you're willing and capable and resilient enough to move on without them, you've just proven that maybe you are the person they saw you as the first time. Maybe you are strong enough to be that person that they're going to regret losing, and they'll come after you because they've re-idealized you to some degree. Probably not as much as they did initially, but enough that they start to second guess their own decision. They're afraid they're going to regret it. They're afraid you're going to live happily after with somebody else, and they have to live with the regret of losing you. So they'll come after you. But when you come back, in either case, when they come back after you and you let yourself get pulled back into the relationship, chances are they're going to push you away again unless they're willing to get some help for what they're dealing with. The other problem, a narcissist at their core, the narcissist actually likes who they are. They don't want to be different. They're not really at the mercy of these inner compulsions that they can't stop. They're at the mercy of their own selfish needs, desires, and wants. The borderline is actually kind of getting tormented inside as much as they're tormenting you. They don't know how to break free from it either. The borderline more often can get help, can actually get some counseling. If it's discouraged or self-destructive, then there's more of a chance that they can actually get some counseling and have a successful relationship. I don't usually see it happen for externalized or petulant. That's usually an extremely painful relationship if it's borderline. And if you're dealing with externalized or petulant, I more often than not would just recommend that you just accept the fact that you're going to hurt very deeply for a while, but try to get over it. Can you pull them back? Yes, you can pull them back. But it's usually going to be toxic, painful, and a really miserable time for a long time. So I can't really recommend or suggest that you try to work it out, but I understand if you feel like you have to. So those are the differences. I hope that helps. Let me know if you want to set up a call if you're dealing with either one of these, or you have time to give more detail. If I have time to hear more details of the specific situations, I can give you more insight into what you might be dealing with and the best next step. And you can find me at dotheyloveme.com. Thank you for the like and subscribe.